transactional process. And so we've already done the master data for this, and so now we're going to execute the production process. And so first we're going to create a planned order. And so we've done these things before. So kind of in even purchasing and in fulfillment or procurement, you're always creating a requisition, a planned order. So everything is kind of just planned at this point. It's just a request that's going to the production office. They will then look at that and convert that to an actual production order. Then your number 3 is warehouse. You will then trigger the warehouse to issue materials to production. So you're doing a goods issue to production so that they have the material to produce whatever it is you have to produce. And then that production of whatever it is, whether it's the semi-finished good or the finished good, is being done in a plant at the conveyor belt. So you got to have to visualize it. It's on the shop floor. And basically someone from that area in production is going to have to confirm that we did produce whatever it is, the material that we needed. So whatever was identified in your plant, in your production order, we confirm that we produced 20, 30, 40, 10, whatever it was that was requested in the production order. So you have to go back into SAP, confirm that it was done. Once you confirm that, and so they've packaged everything up into boxes, it's now going to be received into warehouse, right? So similarly, when we receive procurement goods, right, we receive goods, we have to do a goods receipt. And so warehouse will do a goods receipt, into inventory, and they will receive whatever it is, whether we're doing the semi-finished good or the finished good. And then the last thing we'll do is kind of just look at a report, which will happen kind of your upper management accounting. We'll kind of review production costs. And we really didn't have any targets identified. So we didn't put into our bill of materials, into our routing, into anything. We didn't identify the cost that it would do to produce anything. So right now, everything is kind of at 0. And so we'll be able to look at what the variable data is, the difference between the target versus the actual cost of producing the bike. And then we'll go back and redo this whole thing to create the finished good. So in order to do this, you have to have all the way completed up until 6/1. So what are we doing here? So normally the material planning process would determine the need to produce bikes. So there's a department that plans out what you need, and they would determine the need to produce bikes. However, for this exercise, you have manually determined that you need 10 bikes. So we need 10 bikes for some reason, and we're going to produce 10 bikes. To manufacture the bikes, you need to have the wheel assemblies. Therefore, you must produce the wheel assemblies first, because currently we have nothing. And you saw that, right? We have no wheel assemblies. So if I go into my warehouse stock and I just take a look at star 98 and I do Dallas 98, and I look and I execute what's happening, you can see I have the raw materials, right? But I have no finished goods, and I have no TRWA semi-finished goods. And I know I need them because in my bill of materials, it stated that I needed to have 2 to produce 1 bike. So if I need to have 10 bikes, how many wheel assemblies would I need to have if I needed to have 10 bikes?
20.
That's correct. 20 wheel assemblies. So we're going to go through the steps twice. One, to produce the 20 wheel assemblies, and then we're going to repeat it to produce the 10 bikes. The instructions below include the data for the wheel assemblies. When you repeat the steps for the bike, make sure to modify this data as needed throughout the exercise. So the red arrow, entire exercise from 1 all the way to 6 must be completed for the wheel assemblies first, followed by the exercise repeated for the finished good. Okay? You can't create the finished good unless we have that 20 wheel assemblies. Okay? So let's get started. So here we are. We're going to do logistics, materials management, materials requirements planning, MRP, and then planned order. And we're going to go into create planned orders. So MD 11. So that number 1 is MD 11. When you get there, this should be blank. And you're going to have to find the planned order profile is going to be stock order, right? So that's a different types of processing for planned order. So we're going to open this up and we're going to look up stock order, which is LA. We're then going to go to the bottom where it says continue, and we're going to hit continue. You guys, am I still recording this? I can't remember. Did I stop the recording?
No, it's recording.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay. So then we are here. When we create, then we're in the create planned order stock order screen. So we're going to enter in the following information. Okay. So here, if yours is already set up, that's great. If not, what we're going to do is put the material in for our touring wheel assembly. So that's TRWA 10, and mine is 98. You put in your 2-digit. And then I'm in Dallas 98. Oops, 98. You put in your 2 digits. Okay. And then it says the necessary quantity for order needs to be placed under the order quantity. So we identify that we're going to do. So the order quantity here would be 20. Is yours open or no? Mine's is closed completely. So and then we'll have to put in something. I'm going to do this one all over again. So order quantity will be 20. And then in the end, it's going to be 1 week from today. So I'm going to put in right here, 1 week from today. So the 13th. And then in producing plant, I'm going to put in the Dallas plant. So in production plant here, I'm going to put in DL98. My storage location. So where's the wheel assembly? Where is that going to be stored? That's going to be stored in the semi-finished area. We need to be aware of this because when we're producing or creating the planned order for the bike storage location is eventually going to go to the finished good, right? But right now we're creating semi-finished goods, so it's going to be the storage location is going to go to the semi-finished good area. What's our production version? So this is something that we've created already in 6.1. So let's just say I forgot my production version. I'm going to try to look for it. So I'm going to put my material here, my plant here, and I'm going to do a quick start of a search. And I'm going to find the one that we just created. in 6.1, and here it is the version 0.1. And so my production version is 0.1. So making sure we have 20, and then we're going to hit save. And at the bottom, you should see something that says planned order. Mine says 27. Yours will say something else. And that's the answer to number 2. So now it says step 1.16, refer to a previous step in a previous exercise, which will be 6.1, for instruction on how to view the inventory balance. Review the inventory balance of your wheel assembly. While the balance in your inventory may be obvious, it's always good to check for grading purposes. So I already kind of did that, but let's just check again. If we wanted to do an overview of the materials, it would be MMBE, okay? So I'm doing this with you, but you need to physically do this yourself as well, because you might have to figure this out and do this when you have to do your project. So we're going to go into MB50, sorry, what was that? MB, I have them as my favorite. So MMBE, and I have my material, and I'm just going to execute it. And I'm going to look, and there's nothing in unrestricted stock. I'm going to then say, refer to a previous step for instructions on how to review material inventory. And here the material in your inventory may be obvious, but it's good to check for grading purposes. They want to know the total dollar value. And so that's going to be an MB52. And so if I look at that and I execute it, I can see my total value. Currently, I have nothing, 0. So now I'm in section 1.2, convert the planned order. So in this section, you'll convert the planned order into a production order. That is, you authorize production of the wheel assemblies. Remember, planned order is just something that they want to do. The production office is the one that's going to confirm, yes, this is right, we can do it, we have enough material, whatever it may be. So the system recognizes this in the stock requirements list. So in the SAP Easy Access, we're going to go through and we're going to go into logistics. We're going to go into production. I don't know what my kids are doing today. MRP, evaluations, and then we're going to go into stock requirements list, MD04. So if you saw what it was MD04. So here, it kind of is defaulted already, but you want to double check. We are going to look to see if there's any planned orders for TRWA 1098 for me in my manufacturing area, my MRP area, in my plant. I'm looking to see, are there any planned orders for this? So I'm going to hit continue. And I see that I have my planned order. So when we look at this page, this is our stock requirements list for this TRWA 98. And you can see that it is PLD order, planned order. And this is the number 27. I want you to be aware of this right here because it's going to eventually change, right? We're looking for 20. So now what it says is we are going to, so we're in the stock requirements, double click on planned order. So we're going to double click on planned order like this. And when you do this, this pop-up comes up. And it's make to stock number 20, meaning 20 to order. You're going to see something like production order right here. And if you hover over it, it's going to say convert planned order to production order. And we're going to click on that. And you'll see things like this, right? You'll see your 20. It's going to say, you know, here's your, if it wants to end here, we need to start on this day. All this things, which is scheduling, meaning backwards. It's looking back at the time that it needs to end and when things need to be scheduled.
I got an error.
Huh?
I got an error.
What did you get an error in?
There's no default value maintained for OP generation for order type PP01.
So something happened in your, what is the error?
No default value maintained for OP generation for order type PPO1.
Check to make sure your views are accurate, that you have like the MRP view and the work scheduling view. And did you do production? And did you do so it's your views. So check your views for TRW 109, your 2-digit one. And then make sure you have the MRP view and the work scheduling view.
Okay.
I also got an error, but it was a different one.
What's your
It's,
error?
it says work scheduling data material is not maintained.
So just check your so you're the one that maybe might not have the work scheduling view. So just go back and double check your 6.1 to make sure you have everything there, and just review everything. Just go through it and check to make sure you have your views correct, that you have your routing, and you have production versions.
Okay.
And then do you have inventory from Heaven, Allison?
I remember doing that.
Okay. And you hit post?
Yeah.
All right. Well, you go back and check on 6.1. You can't move forward at this point. So if you did get an error, you just have to go back, and then and I can help you at the end of class to see what you did wrong, and then you'll have to come back and do 6.2.
Okay.
Everyone should have gotten a thing that said at the bottom, release carried out, which means that it has been released for production. So we're in this production order create header, and what we're going to do is hit the save button, and we're going to get an order number, and you want to save this order number because you need that in number 6 here. And then what you're going to do is we're in this stock requirements list, and we're going to click the refresh button. So before I do that, I want you to look at what you have here. So you've created a production order. You've released the planned order for production. So now you have a production order. So remember, we had the planned order 27. If I do a refresh, my planned order turns into that production order, and there's my production order number. Okay. What is the MRP type? It's PD. PD is actually right here, which is MRP. So that's what our MRP, it's just for regular manufacturing. Okay, so refer to the previous step on how to review inventory balance and review the balance of your wheel assembly. So let's exit out. What do you think is going to happen? Are we going to have any inventory at this point after we release this for production? Anyone? What do you think where it's going to happen? Do you think we're going to have any?
No, I think it's still going to be 0.
That's correct. It's still 0 because we haven't produced anything, right? We just converted something over to a production order. So now we're getting ready for production. So everything is still 0, okay? If we're looking at the inventory this way to look at how much things cost, so number 11, we're still at 0, okay? So here we are, we're going to issue the materials to production. So once the production order goes through, it then triggers that goods have to be issued to production. So in this section, you will release or issue materials needed to produce the 20 wheel assemblies we have. So we're going to go into this SAP. We're going to go into SAP logistics. We're going to go into production. We're now going into shop floor control. And we're going to go into goods movement, which is right here. We're going to go into goods issue, goods receipt, MIGO. So you guys have used MIGO before. You used it in procurement. You used it in fulfillment. So I kind of just made it into a favorite, MIGO. But basically, it's the same. There's different ways to get to the same screen, right? And so what are we doing? And you've seen this screen before. So the transaction code to issue materials to production is MIGO. So that one screen allows us to do multiple things. We also use this screen to create inventory from heaven, right? So that's what we use. And we did that, what was it, 561, right? So what we're going to do now is we're going to follow this so that we can do a goods receipt. I mean, a goods issue. So it's right now goods receipt order. So we're going to do the event here. The drop down is going to be a goods issue. The order is going to be here. So if you don't have order, just do a drop down and locate order. And then right next to it, you're going to put your production number right here. So if you don't remember your production order, you can just open this up. You're going to put your controlling area. Your controlling area will start with an NA, and then it's your 2 digits. So it's got to be NA and then your 2 digits. So you can find that. Mine's is going to be 98. And I'm going to do a search, and I'm going to find 1 right now because I only have 1 order right now. So it's the 23, which is right. And then I'm going to move my scroll. I'm going to scroll over, and then all the way over here where it says GI for order, I'm going to put in 261. And then I'm going to hit enter. When I hit enter, based on your bill of material, all of the materials that you had in your bill of materials will show up, and it will tell you the quantity that you need, because based off of our planned order, we requested to have 20. So it's saying based off your bill of order, this is how much you need and you have available. We have this available. So remember, our lock washers were double that, so it's 40. So what are we going to do? We're going to select all of these materials. And then if you scroll over, because we have to go to where it says storage location, we have to say, well, where are we going to find these items? So right now, all of these items, if you take a look at them, they're all raw materials, right? Because we're pre-creating a semi-finished good, and in our bill of materials, we had no semi-finished good in producing another semi-finished good. So everything's going to be RM98. So we're going to do RM98, 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 and then RM98. Okay. So once you do that, you're going to hit this post button here, and you're going to post this. You are going to get a goods issue number, a document number. This number is what you're going to put into 13. What do you think is happening now? Do you think we produced the bikes? Have we produced the bikes yet after this goods were issued? No. So do you think that the wheel assembly is going to increase in unrestricted stock? No. There's nothing even in reserve stock. Okay. And if we wanted to look at the total value, we could do that. It's still 0, right? Okay. So now we're going into confirm production. So what happens is you issue the materials to the shop floor. So there's a conveyor belt and they start producing it. They're doing their stuff. That's outside of SAP, right? There's people that are physically producing the bike. Now the bikes are done. So after the materials have been released into the production order, the actual production is taking place on the shop floor. And when that production has been completed, it's necessary to inform the system, meaning ERP, the fact that we finished producing and we have completed 20. In this step, you will confirm the production of the wheel assembly. So somebody in their area of production is going to go into SAP after the production is done, after the 8 hours, and confirm based off of this production order, we were able to produce 10 of it, 15 of it, or all 20 of it. Okay. So now that's what we're going to do. We're going to go out in and we're going to go into logistics. We're going to go into production, shop floor control. We're going to go into confirmation, which is here. And we're going to go into enter. So there's a folder called enter. And then we're going to go into for order, which is C0. I think it's CO, sorry, CO15, CO15. So 17 is CO15. So you're here and your production order should pop up for you, but if it doesn't, once again, your controlling area will be NA and then your 2-digit. And then once you're done with that, you're going to click on continue. And so you should be in the page that says confirmation of production order, enter actual data. So that's where we are. That's our production order. That's what we were producing. And in this yield quantity right here, we're going to identify how many we completed that was originally in our order. And so we have produced 20, which is what we were expected to produce. And then once we are done with that, we are going to hit save. At the bottom, it should say something that says confirmation of the order was saved, meaning that we confirmed that we produced this production order. Okay? So now we're here in step 1.4. What do you think has happened now? Do you think that we were going to see stock? Anybody? What do you think?
I don't think we will yet.
Nope. Yep, you're right. We are not going to see anything. Why do you think we don't see anything? Because we have not done the next step, which is receiving the goods into inventory. So basically, it's still there on the shop floor, right? So in this section, you receive the goods produced that are currently on the shop floor. And so they're all done and they're packed up. Now warehouse has to go pick them up and pull them into the right location on where they're supposed to be stored, okay? So that's what we're going to do is now we're going to have a goods receipt, okay? So now we're going to go back to where we were before. It's MIGO. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to be in logistics. We're going to go into production. We're going to go into shop floor control. We're going to go into goods movement. And we're going to go into goods issue, goods receipt, MIGO. And so we did this before, right? But now what are we going to do? We're going to do it for a goods receipt, right? We're receiving something. So we had just done it for goods issue. So now our event is going to be goods receipt. And we're going to have an order and we're going to put our production order in. If you don't know, if you can't remember, just go into your NA 98 for me. And I'm going to start my search. And it's that first one I had, 23, which is right. And I'm going to move it all the way to the right. And I'm going to change, all the way here to where it's going to be goods receipt into 101. So I'm going to hit enter. And when I do that, it says, are you going to receive this 20? Because that's what that production order was. And I said, yep, that's what I want to produce. I want to receive that. And the location should be the semi-finished area, which is right. So that's correct. The location, I'm going to click on this OK. Don't forget about that. And then I'm going to hit this post button. When I do that, I'm going to get a material document number. This document number is my goods receipt, my goods receipt. And that's what you're going to put into 22. Now, what do you think you're going to find for your unrestricted? Let's go back in and we're going to go into MMBE. I'm going to execute. And there you see, I have 20. I have 0 in reserve, but I have 20 in unrestricted. Oh my gosh, my kids. We're going to go over here and we're going to look at the total value, and it's going to be 2,200. So that's the answer for 25. So now we're going to just review the production order. So in this section, you will review the production cost associated with the production you just completed. So this is things that upper management would do, production office, accounting office, right? We want to look at that variable data. And so we're going to look at some reports on what it would look like. So we're going to go into accounting here. And we're going to go into controlling. We're going to go into product cost controlling. Product cost controlling. So I'm going to open that up. Once I go in there, I'm going to look into cost object controlling right here. I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to go into product cost by order right here. I'm going to then open up information system right here. I'm going to go into reports for product cost by order here. I'm going to go into detailed reports here, and I'm going to go for orders here. So that is going to be KKBC _ORD. I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to put in, so here I'm going to be putting in my order number. If you had a pop-up that showed up, then make sure you're putting in your, I think it's NA 98 or NA and then your 2 digits. And then when you get here, you're going to put in your order number. And then you're going to hit execute.
Excuse me, Professor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my pop-up was a set controlling area.
Yep. And then put in your GBI North America, and I think it's
Okay, just the NA and our digits.
yes, and your 2 digits, and then hit continue.
Okay.
The check mark, and then you're going to get to this screen here. Put in your planned order number here. And then hit execute. When you do that, it says this little message will come up that says variance variant not allowed. And so what happened is we never identified, which is fine, we never identified target cost of what it would cost to produce this material. And so what happened is we now have some things here, right? So we're just going to take a look. What are the total actual costs for manufacturing output settlement for your touring wheel assembly? So we're going to look at the manufacturing output settlement right here. Mine's is kind of lower. Yours might be up here, wherever, but you can see the cost element here. And so what I can tell you is that the variance is 2,200 right? 2,200. So that's the total actual cost that it took to manufacture that wheel assembly. And then it says number 28, what is the cost element number for the manufacturing output settlement? And so that is that GL account, but that's this right here, 741600. That's that cost element number. So that's that GL account that's going to be used to settle anything that is a difference in our actual variance. Now, the reason we have such a high variance is because we put 0 here. Typically, it would be very little, right? And then this manufacturing output settlement would take care of that GL account would take care of the rest. Okay? So now we're here in section 1.7, and what we're doing is we are creating a finished good now. So in this section, you're going to repeat sections 1 through 5 to produce your deluxe touring bike red by using the raw materials and the touring aluminum wheel assembly you just created. Remember, we created 20 wheel assemblies. Remember to be careful to select the correct information for storage locations. The components needed to produce the bike are in raw materials and in a semi-finished good, remember. The wheel assembly that you just produced is a semi-finished good. When you complete the production of the bike, you will receive them into a finished good storage area. So basically, we're going to go through that over again here, and you're going to have to add in 29, 30, 31, and 32, okay? So we're going to go back to the top here, and we're going to repeat everything all over again. So I'm going to ask you guys to call things out for me. So can someone tell me what is the transaction code for creating a planned order?
MD11.
All right, so we're going to do an MD11. We're going to have still a stock order, which is LA. You can double check it. LA. We're going to hit continue. We are here in the create plan stock order. What are we putting here? This is for the wheel assembly. We want to produce the bike. So although this is listed this way, we're going to have to figure out what we're doing, okay? And replace things as needed. So DXTR 3098 is what my bike is. I'm still going to be in my Dallas plant. What's the order quantity that I need? I need 10 bikes, right? I still want the end date to be 1 week from today. So we're going to do end here. And we're going to do end the 13th. We're going to do producing plant is going to be DL98. What's our storage location going to be? Is it going to be semi-finished?
Should be finished good.
That's right, finished good 98 because we're actually now producing the bike. So we're finished goods 98. We're going to have them go into the finished goods in Dallas still. And now we have to find our production version. So we did this already for the bike as well. So we're going to try to go and find our production area, our production version. So this is my production version. We did this on 6.1. So I'm going to click on that. So I have that here. And I'm going to hit save. Double check everything. It's my bike, 10. Once it's done, it should go into finished good. I'm going to save it. So my planned order now is 35, okay? So I'm going to exit out of that. And so that's what you would type in, 35 or whatever your planned order you got. That's what you're going to put into 29, whatever your planned order was for the finished good. So now we're going to go back up. We're going to now convert, right? So now we're going to convert that planned order into production order. That's when you authorize production of the bike, not the wheel assemblies, right? So now what was this transaction code to display a stock requirements list? Can you tell me, anyone?
Was it Migo?
No. What did you guys write in here for 5, for number 5?
MDO4.
MDO4. Yes. So that's where I'm here, stock requirements list initial screen. So now instead of me putting in my wheel assembly, I'm putting in my bike. I'm putting in my MRP area, DL98, my plant DL98. And I'm going to hit continue. There's that that planned order I had, 35. You should see PLD order, 35, bike, right? So what am I doing here? In this additional area, I am going to double click on PLD order. So I'm going to double click on that. I'm having this additional data for MRP pop up, click on the production order. Remember, convert the planned order to production. It's going to say release is carried out, which is right. It should say release carried out. Now I'm in my production order, create header, screen. And so it says 10 is going to be produced. This is when it's going to start. All this stuff is happening. I'm going to click on save. You should get a production order here at the bottom. And then if you forget it or you didn't find it, what do we do here? We're just going to refresh the page. So remember, I'm on a planned order. I'm going to refresh it. It turned into a production order. And there's my production number right there. And that's what you're going to put into that next line, next question, at the end here. So write that down. And then I'm going to hit exit. I want to show you here under MB52 when I go under the TRW for a minute. Oops, not this one. MMBE, I want to do TRWA 1098 for a minute. I want to show you something. What's happening here? It's telling you that you have 20 for unrestricted use. However, 20 of it is actually reserved. Why is it reserved? Because we needed that and we identified we needed that for production. Okay, so that's what's happening. Every time you have a raw material or semi-finished good, it's reserving it for production so no one else can use it. Okay, so now we have to issue those materials that are reserved. We're going to issue those materials to production. So this, number 12, the transaction code to issue materials to production is that goods issue. What's the transaction code for that? Does anyone remember?
Now isn't it MIGO?
Yes, MIGO. So we are here and we are going to issue goods. So we're going to do a goods issue. It's our order, but we're going to put in our production order for the bike, not the wheel assembly. So let's just say I forgot and I want to look it up. When I look it up, now you're going to see I have 2 orders. I don't want the one for the wheel assemblies. I want the ones for the bike. So I'm going to pick that last one because I know that's the one for my bike. I'm going to move over here. I'm going to look to make sure I'm on 261. And then I'm going to hit enter. When I do that, all of my material that I need based off of my bill of material to produce the bike, all of the quantities I need and that have to be issued to production is available. So I have to do a few things here. I know that this is a wheel assembly. I needed 20 of them. I'm going to hit OK, right? But what happens is, what's the storage location for that wheel assembly? That wheel assembly is stored in SF98. That if you don't do that and you put in raw material 98, it's going to give you an error. Everything else here is going to be okay. We're going to click on all of these raw materials we need, right? And the quantity to produce our bike. But the storage location for everything else is still raw materials 98, right? Or your 2 digits. Is everyone following me so far? Are there any questions? Once you're done with clicking OK on all of these and identifying the right storage location for all of your material, making sure the area that has the wheel assembly is from the semi-finished, everything else is raw material. Once you're done with that, you're going to click on this post button. And you're going to get a goods issue document number, which you have to place at the end. So you're going to be putting that number right here in 31. So we've issued the goods. Now we have to, right? So now they're producing over there in the conveyor belt. Now we're going to go in and confirm in the system that they have actually produced the goods, right? So we're going to do a confirmation. So after the materials have been released into production, the actual production takes place in the shop floor. When the production is completed, the manager is going to come over to the SAP and inform the system of this fact. And so we're going to confirm the production. Do you remember what this transaction code was?
CO15.
Yeah, I think it's CO15. So that's correct. So here we're going to enter the production order confirmation. And so my production order came up automatically. If you don't know what it is, you can always search for it. And so I'm going to hit that continue button right here. I'm going to hit continue. And this is my material, right? So I'm here in the confirmation page. I have the bikes. What's my yield quantity? So the yield you want to confirm, I want to confirm 10 because that's how many I had in my original production order. And that's how much they produced. So I want to say 10. I confirm that 10 were produced today, right? And we're going to hit save. And we're going to get this little message that says confirmation of order is saved. And now, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think, well, we checked, our bikes are not going to be in stock yet because we have not yet received them. So we're going to have to go and receive the goods into inventory. And so that's MIGO. So I have that in my favorites now. So I'm going to go into the MIGO. And now I'm going to receive, I'm going to get a goods receipt from production that I have 10 bikes. So I'm going to do goods receipt here. I'm going to do an order. I'm going to find my production order. It's the one that ends in a 30. So I'm going to do this one. So I have this production order. I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to do 101. And then I'm going to hit enter. And what we're going to do here is we are going to select OK here. And we're going to confirm that it's going into the storage location finished goods. And we're going to hit post. And this is your goods receipt document here. And that is about it. So now you should have, we don't have to review the production costs, but let's do an exit and check our stock for the bike. So DXTR 3098. And we are going to do an execute, and we should see 10 bikes now. And if I go into my warehouse stock and I look to see, let's see how much of all of the materials we have, you'll see everything is now 0, right? Except for the bike. And how much does a bike cost? The cost of the total value of all the bikes is $14,000, right? They're $1,400 a piece, right? And so that's our total value. And everything, even our TRWA, is 0. Okay? So I want you to tab out and write your name, and then make sure you're putting your 2-digit identifier. And so we're done with lab 6.2. I want to be able to share with you